Cost of living, that'll be the top topic, the first topic when Emmanuel Macron and Marine Le Pen square off later in the one and only candidates debate between the two rounds of the French presidential elections. Let's turn now to business editor Kate Moody.
Hi, Francois.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be the topic at the beginning.
Well, it's certainly the topic for voters in just a few days' time. At the first round, it was the top issue for more than 60% of French voters, and that's because France is facing its highest inflation since the late 1990s. In March this year, consumer prices were about 5.1% higher than a year earlier. Energy prices were up nearly 30%. Food prices, 3%. If we break it down, a recent poll by Ipsos says that 65% of French voters are worried about energy prices. More than half say they're worried about overall inflation. Pensions, taxes, wages, and social inequality round off the list of what specific areas are sources of concern in French households at the moment. Now, it has been at the center of Marine Le Pen's recent campaigning, although on her official campaign website, the cost of living crisis is only fourth in her list of pledges. Immigration and security are actually top of her official platform. Her headline proposal is to reduce sales tax on petrol, gas, and energy from its current 20% to 5.5% and remove it altogether for about 100 essential items, at least in a temporary capacity. Now, as president, Emmanuel Macron has capped increases on electricity and gas bills. He's offered an energy subsidy for low-income households and imposed an 18% rebate per litre of petrol. His campaign has focused on reducing taxes and tripling the amount of a tax-free bonus that employers can offer, but he may be pushed for more concrete and immediate relief measures in that debate, which of course you can follow here on France 24 later. Shares of Netflix have plunged 37% after the streaming service said it had lost subscribers for the first time in a decade. The platform has been facing growing competition in an increasingly crowded field, and analysts say it will have to offer more creative content to keep its viewers happy. Nick Brushworth has more.
Netflix subscriber numbers are down. The American streaming giant has built its customer base year on year since it set up business in 1997 as a mail-based DVD rental company. It's managed to transform itself into a leading streaming service with top shows like Bridgerton and Emily in Paris. But for the first time since 2011, it has seen more customers quitting the service than signing up. Netflix currently has a little over 221 million subscribers worldwide. First quarter stats showed there was a drop of 200,000. The company is projecting a loss of another 2 million in the current quarter. The company says some of these losses are due to the end of COVID lockdowns and a return to cinemas. Another reason is sanctions on Russia. The war in Ukraine pushed Netflix to pull out of the country, leaving it with 700,000 fewer subscribers. There's also more competition from its rivals such as Apple TV and Disney. Netflix was an early arrival in the streaming market and remains the second main player behind YouTube and ahead of its direct competitor Amazon. To stop the rot, Netflix is mulling changes that could lead to tighter checks on who is using the service. The goal would be to try to stop password sharing by several households. Netflix believes around 100 million homes are not paying for subscriptions. The company is also considering adding a cheaper advertising-supported service to raise revenues.
Let's check in on the day's trading action now. The major European indices closed higher. The FTSE 100 more subdued in London there. The CAC 40 and DAX up just under 1.5 percentage points each. Danone shares rose 5%, Heineken 4%, as the food and drinks giants reported strong quarterly sales. A mixed picture on Wall Street is seeing the tech-heavy NASDAQ drag down about 1.25 percentage points. That's as Netflix weighs on trade there, and other streaming rivals see a drop in their share prices as well. Ukrainian officials have been asking the international community for more financial aid in addition to weapons as Russia's invasion continues. The International Monetary Fund said it's already working on a future loan package, but that it would be unfair to expect Ukraine to implement reforms in return. In the meantime, the IMF's managing director says Ukrainian officials will need $5 billion per month just to keep the country's basic services and government running.
They came up with the number of $5 billion a month. Let me stress, the 5 billion is to keep the economy functioning. It is not to meet the reconstruction needs of Ukraine that are going to be huge.
The EU's foreign policy chief has told France 24 that he expects the European Union to eventually impose a complete ban on imports of Russian oil. EU member states have been divided over how quickly to stop importing Russian energy. French Economy Minister Bruno Le Maire has been pushing to prioritize an embargo on oil rather than a ban on natural gas. High Representative for Foreign Affairs Josep Borrell told our Europe editor Catherine Nicholson that full agreement on the issue will take time.
Restriction on consumption is the way to decrease our dependency from Russia. This cannot be done overnight, but is on the way. And maybe in the next days, I am pushing for it, certainly, it would be a complete ban for the import of oil. But by the time being, it's still not an agreement among member states, but it will come.
And Francois, that full interview with Kat Nicholson is on our website, France24.com. Right.
All right, many thanks, Kate Moody, who will be back with more business news and following and fact-checking what the candidates say in that debate later on here on France 24.